In this video we're going to look at how to solve quadratics by factorising. Now, assuming that an expression will factorise and is solvable, you are looking for sometimes one and sometimes two solutions when you do this. So this first question, let's look at how we can factorise this to start with. So we first of all check for single bracket factorising, and there is a common factor of x. So I'm going to factor x out, and I have x minus 6. So the product of these two terms is 0. So either the first term is the 0 or the second term is 0. So if x minus 6 is 0, then x must be equal to 6. So these are my two solutions. If I consider question 2, so there are no common terms, so I can't use single bracket. So then I check to see if I can use a difference of two squares. This is not a difference of two squares. There are three terms and they're summed, they're not a difference. So I'm going to have to use double bracket. Now the coefficient of x squared is 1, so I can do this the simple way. Two brackets, x at the beginning of each bracket. Two numbers that multiply to make 2 and add to make 3. So that's 2 and 1. Both of which are positive. So either the first bracket is 0, so x plus 2 is 0, or the second bracket is 0, so x plus 1 is 0. So if x plus 2 is 0, then x is negative 2, and if x plus 1 is 0, then x is negative 1. So here are my two solutions for this question. So I'm going to check here. I can't use single bracket factorising. There's no common factor, but I can use the difference of two squares. It's a difference and both of these are squares. So I'm going to set up my double bracket, and the first term in each bracket is the square root of the first term here, so that will be 3x and then 3x. And then the second term will be the square root of the number, or the square root of the second part here, so that's 2. And one will be positive and one will be negative. So when I look at my solutions, either 3x plus 2 is equal to 0 or 3x minus 2 is 0. So for this one I can subtract 2 from both sides to tell me 3x is negative 2, and then divide by 3 to show x is negative 2/3. And for this one I can add 2 to both sides to show 3x is equal to 2, and then I can divide through by 3 to say x is 2/3. Now I have two solutions again. So this final one, I'm going to check there are no common factors, so I can't use single bracket factorisation. It's not a difference of two squares. For a start, it's three terms. So I'm going to use double brackets, and the coefficient of x squared is not 1, so I'm going to have to do this the tricky way. So I'm going to multiply the coefficient of x squared by the number term. I get negative 30, so I need to find two numbers that times to make that. And the coefficient of x squared is negative 13, so the two numbers have to add to make that. Now one will have to be positive and one will have to be negative to make a negative 30. So let me think about what we could do. So we could do 5 and 6, but that would make 1 or 11, so that's no good. Could use 3 and 10, but that would make either 7 or negative 7, so that's no good. So I'm going to have to use 15 and 2, which would be 13 or negative 13. So I'm going to need negative 15 and positive 2. So now I can factorise. But first of all, 5x squared minus 15x plus 2x minus 6 equals 0. So I've just replaced negative 13x with these two numbers as coefficients of x. Then I'm going to look at the first two terms and I'm going to factorise, so 5x and x minus 3. And then I'm going to look at the next two and I'm going to do 2 lots of x minus 3. And then I'm going to factorise again because I've got x minus 3 as a factor here. And so either x minus 3 is 0 or 5x plus 2 is 0. So for this one I get x is 3, and for this one 5x is negative 2, and therefore x is negative 2 over 5.